Lockdown restrictions in England will remain in place until at least the 8th of March, when schools in all parts of England might be allowed to reopen if the conditions are right. The Prime Minister Boris Johnson said reopening schools any earlier could result in another surge in COVID cases. He said data on hospital admissions and the vaccine rollout would all need to be carefully studied before any relaxation was possible. Now, by the end of February, the government aims to publish what it calls a roadmap for the gradual easing of restrictions in England. Schools could then start to reopen from the 8th of March. And once England's schools are back, there will be a gradual unlocking of other restrictions as long as the data supported that. Northern Ireland has already extended its lockdown into March, and plans in Wales and Scotland are set to be reviewed there by ministers in the coming days. Our political editor Laura Kuenssberg has the latest.
The sofa will still be part of the crowded classroom for Alexa's 7-year-old, 6-year-old and 4-year-old twins. They didn't make much of the Prime Minister on their curriculum today.
It will not be possible to reopen schools immediately after the February half-term.
She'll still be the teacher, like millions of parents, until at least the start of March.
I'm tired. It's been almost a year of my kids being home a lot, and you're not only being their teacher, but you have to then go be the lunch lady, and you have to clean the toilets, and you have to make sure everything's printed off. I don't have a teaching assistant to make sure the work is done right, or to make sure the toddlers over there are happy while I work with the older ones.
He made it official. English schools will still be closed to most, and the lockdown will go on.
We hope it will therefore be safe to begin the reopening of schools from Monday the 8th of March. And I know how frustrating that will be and will be for pupils and teachers who want nothing more than to get back to the classroom.
The Labour leader, himself isolating at home, wants teachers at the front of the queue for vaccines and is disappointed with more delay.
The truth is, this was not inevitable. It wasn't just bad luck. It's the result of a huge number of mistakes by the Prime Minister during the course of this pandemic.
Over the next few weeks, the government will track how the virus is moving among us and the effect the vaccine has. And only then, at the end of February, will the decisions be made.
How do you rate the chances of being able to stick to the 8th of March for the beginning of the end of this lockdown?
Laura, the date of the 8th of March is the earliest that we think it's sensible for to set for schools to go back. And obviously we hope that all schools will go back. I'm hopeful, but that's the earliest that we can do it. And it depends on lots of things going right.
Plans for Northern Ireland are being reviewed tomorrow, Wales on Friday, and next Tuesday in Scotland too. But without dramatic falls in cases, don't expect much to change.
With cases so high and hospitals so full, in theory, it's not really a surprise that it will still be at least a month before gates open again to all and restrictions could even start to be eased off. But in practice, it feels like a big admission that we're heading towards 12 months of coronavirus restrictions in one way or another. A whole year of families and firms coping with life in and out of lockdown. A year when coronavirus has dominated so much with such heavy costs.
I was going to shut the door behind me because we are now locked down due to national lockdown.
Shaun built up his gym business in Ilfracombe. Even with some financial support from the government, it's proved hard to hang on. He's desperately hoping this extended lockdown will be the last.
It's been a little bit more of a struggle. Still having bills to pay. I've had to put more funds of my own, what the business has accrued over the years, back into the business. So now the banking is financially unstable.
The risk from the disease means the wait, largely indoors, goes on. For much of the country, a glimpse of the end. But that tonight is marked in pencil, not in ink. Laura Kuenssberg, BBC News, Westminster.
Well, as we've heard, the Prime Minister has said that most pupils in England won't be returning to school until March the 8th at the earliest, meaning that many more weeks of remote learning are ahead. Boris Johnson said he was acutely aware of the pressures on parents. The government had already provided more than 800,000 laptops to help. There was also a promise of more funding to help children catch up on missed learning and extended support for children on free school meals. Our education editor, Branwen Jeffreys, has been talking to pupils, teachers and parents in Warrington.
Move the sea creatures inland.
Only a third of pupils were in today, leaving Year 6 spread out in class, their classmates not back for at least a month.
We are not really used to having so many people in because of how long it's really been like this.
I'm looking forward to having everyone back in school because I miss all my friends, and at least I've got some of my friends here.
Everyone would definitely be happier because working from home is a lot harder than working in school, which I do know because last week I think I worked from home for 2 days.
To help kids catch up, a promise today of more money. But for those running schools, some questions are more urgent. 2 weeks' warning isn't long to plan for reopening.
Is it going to be a staggered return? Is it going to be similar to what they expected us to do in September? Are we expecting certain year groups to come in? Are we opening it? Are we starting from day one with everybody in? We need to know those kinds of things.
So when will classrooms fill again? Well, March the 8th is a tentative date, an ambition. So much depends on the pressures on the NHS, the infection rates, the vaccination programme. All that's certain for parents and for children is they're going to have to manage at home for a good few more weeks. The biggest education union said the Prime Minister couldn't guarantee school return in early March.
At the moment, over 1 million people in the UK are infected with COVID, and he can't know what the death rate will be. So I think this is premature, and I think it will give parents and children some false hope, and that's the last thing that they need.
Schools will be the first to open, says the government. No one, including parents, thinks these decisions are easy.
I'm quite lucky because I'm a key worker, the girls at school, but I think it's for the kids' mental health, it's very important for them to be at school. I understand the Prime Minister's a lot of pressure. I hate to be in this position to make that decision.
It is difficult for the government, but again, like I said, there's just no light at the end of the tunnel, and we should be a lot further down the road now than we are.
I've got some really close friends that are at home with 3 children in 3 different ages, and it's not doing very much for their mental health, to be honest.
Families and schools will have to go on coping with a promise of a plan by late February. Branwen Jeffreys, BBC News, Warrington.